A very good day to all Designdio followers. What we are going to see in today's class is about the selection tool. Okay. So now, what is the use of selection tool? The selection tool is used to select objects. Let's see here. Here we have got various objects on our artboard. So now, if I want to modify any one of these objects, then first of all I need to select it. So to select it, I'm going to make use of the selection tool. I'll select the selection tool. I'll come here and I'll click on the object that I want to select, and that object gets selected. Okay. So similarly, whichever object I want to select, I have to take my mouse over the object and I have to click on it. So that object gets selected. Okay. And now I can do multiple selection by holding shift and clicking on the objects. Okay. And now I can do the same multiple selection by clicking and dragging like this. So on whichever area my selection area crosses, those objects will get selected. Okay, fine. So now after selecting an object, what is that I can do? The first thing is I can move the object. To move the object, I have to click on the selected object, drag it to another location and release. So now the object will get moved to a new location. And now next, while I'm moving, if I'm going to hold shift, then my movement of object gets restricted to 0 degrees, 45 degrees and 90 degrees. Okay. And next, while moving my object, if I'm going to hold alt, then I can create a copy of the same object. I have to click on the object, hold alt, drag the object to a new location and then release the mouse button and then release the alt key. So now I'll be able to get a copy of the same object. Okay, fine. Now next, after selecting an object, what else can I do? Once I select an object, I get a blue color rectangle around that. Okay, can you see this? A blue color rectangle around that. That blue color rectangle is called as the bounding box. Okay, so now these squares in the bounding box, 1, 2, 3, 4, which appears in the middle of the bounding box, are called as edges, and these corner squares are called as corners. Okay, so now I can control the width or the height of the object by using the edges. Okay, I can control the width or the height using the edges. And now when I come here to the corner and when I click and drag, I'll be able to control the width and the height simultaneously. Both can be controlled. Okay, and now as I keep resizing my objects, if I'm going to hold shift, then what will happen? I'll be able to resize the objects proportionately. Okay, and proportionate resizing of objects is called as scaling. Okay, and now when I take my mouse outside the corner of the object or else outside the corner of the bounding box, then my mouse turns into a hook. Now I'll be able to click and drag and I'll be able to rotate my objects. Okay, and while rotating, if I'm going to hold shift, then I'll be able to rotate the objects through exactly 45 degrees like this. Okay, now next, once I select an object, here in the properties or options bar, I get some options. Okay, the first one is this X and Y. What is this X? X represents the distance of the object from the left edge of the artboard, and Y represents the distance of the object from the top edge of the artboard. Okay, and now this distance of the object from the left edge and the top edge of the artboard is controlled or affected by this reference point. Okay, so now you currently see here, you can see some 9 boxes or 9 squares in this reference point, and the center square is selected or that is filled, which means that that center square is filled. So now the distance of this object from the artboard is measured like this: from the left edge of the object, from the left edge of the artboard to the center of the object. Similarly, from the top edge of the object to the center of the object. So this is how x and y is calculated. Now if I'm going to choose this rectangle, then see here immediately x and y changes, which means that the distance of the object is measured from the left edge to the left edge of the object, and from the top edge of the artboard to the top edge of the object. Okay. Similarly, if I click here, what will happen? It means that the distance is measured from the left edge of the artboard to the right edge of the object, and from the top edge of the artboard to the top edge of the object. And when I click here, see what happens? The distance is measured from the left edge of the object, left edge of the artboard to the right edge of the object, and from the top edge of the artboard to the bottom edge of the object. Okay, like this reference point affects the location or position of your object. Okay, and next here you have got something called as W and H. So what is W and H? W represents the width of the object and H represents the height of the object. Okay, and now if you want to give a specific width and height for your object, then here you can come and you can mention a specific width and a specific height, like this. Okay, and then here you can see a link icon which says constrain width and height proportions. If you click on this, then if you change height, then width also will change accordingly, and if you change width, then height also will change accordingly. Okay, and now even this change in width and height is controlled by the reference point. Okay, so now let me select the reference point to be in center, and now let me change the now see here I have got two guidelines on the center of the object. Okay, so this is the center of the object, and now I have marked the center of the object as in this reference point, and now I change the width of the object. See what happens? See here the object gets enlarged from the center of the object. Okay, and now I'll move this one to the left edge of the object, and now I'll change the reference point here, and now if I change the width, see what happens? The object gets enlarged from the left edge of the object. Okay, like this the reference point also affects the resizing or scaling of the object. Okay, now if you unlink this one, then width and height both will become individually controllable. See here, width is individually controllable and height is individually controllable, like this. Okay, and now next, when you select an object, okay, here in the window menu you have got an option called as transform. Okay, so what is the use of transform? So in transform again we get the same X, Y, W, H, same options and the reference point options, and along with that I have got two more options called as the rotate and the shear. So using the rotate, I'll be able to specify a particular value, and my object will start getting rotated about that. Okay, okay, now even this rotation is affected by the reference point. Okay, so now I have two different objects. Okay, and for this object let me choose the reference point to be here, so for this object the reference point is chosen to be a center, and now I am rotating it through 45 degrees. Okay, the object gets rotated about the center, but for this object I am going to fix the reference point as top left corner, and now if I change the rotation to as minus 45, see the object gets rotated about this point and not about the center. See here, the center has moved from its location, but for this the center is located in the same place and the corners have been moved. For this, the top left corner remains in the same location, the center and the other three corners have moved. Okay, so like this, the reference point also controls the rotation. Okay, and now the next one is shear. Okay, so shear means what? Shear means you can hold on to one edge of the object and you can drag or move the other edge, that is its opposite edge. Okay, so now when I come here, when I choose this, see here, this is how it happens. Okay, so now I have got the reference point on the top. So what happens? The top edge will not move, only the bottom edge will move. Like this, see here, only the bottom edge has moved, the top edge is located in the same place. But instead, if I have chosen the bottom edge, see what happens? The bottom edge will get holded and only the left edge, sorry, only the top edge will move. Like this, see here, the bottom edge is located in the same place, only the top edge has moved. Okay, and next, along with that, here you have got something called as rectangle properties and all those things. These things will vary according to the object that I have chosen. Okay, so when I come to the rectangle tool, that time let me teach you about these rectangle properties. Okay, and next, here you have got something called as scale corners, scale strokes and effects, align to pixel grid, like that. Okay, so scale corners means what? Let us imagine that I have got a rounded rectangle tool like this. Okay, so now if scale corners is not chosen, and now if I make this object bigger, see here, the corner radius is of the same thing. Okay, so let me explain it with two different objects. For this object, scale corners is not chosen, and now I enlarge it. What has happened? The corner continues to be of the same size, that is, the corner radius continues to be of the same size. But now for this object, I'll choose scale corners, and now if I enlarge it, what happens? See here, the corner radius of this object has increased as I increase the size. Understood? So this is called as scale corners. Okay, and next one is scale strokes and effects. Okay, so for this, again, let me choose it with two different objects. So now for this one, scale strokes and effects is not chosen. Okay, and now when I enlarge this object, the stroke size or the stroke thickness continues to be the same. But for this object, I have chosen scale strokes and effects, and now when I enlarge this object, see here, the thickness of the stroke has increased as I increase the size of this object. This is only is called as scale strokes and effects. Okay, so this is all what you have got in your transform panel. Okay, this one is applicable to all objects. And now next, when you select, when you have multiple objects, like this. Okay, and once you select multiple objects, here you get some 12 options. So these 12 options are called as alignment and distribution options. Okay, the first 6 are called as alignment options and the next 6 are called as distribution options. So now once I come and click on this, what happens? All the objects will get aligned to the left edge of the leftmost object, that is this one. Okay, so now can you see the bounding box? So this is the left edge of the bounding box, and all these objects will get aligned to the left edge of the bounding box, like this. Okay, so similarly, once I click on this, all objects will get aligned to the horizontal center of the bounding box, that is along this line. Everything will get aligned according to this line. See here, got it? So similarly, when I click on this, all objects will get aligned to the right edge of the bounding box, like this. Similarly, when I click on this, all objects will get aligned to the top edge of the bounding box and bottom edge of the bounding box, and then the vertical center of the bounding box. Okay, and now here you have got distribution options. What are distribution options? So once I click on this vertical distribute top, what will happen? The vertical distances, that is the distances between the top edges of the objects, will become equal, like this. See here, now you can see the distance between the all the top edges of the objects are equal. Okay, so this is only is called as distribute top edges. Okay, similarly you can distribute all the bottom edges like this, and you can distribute the vertical centers equally. Okay, and now you can distribute all the left edges equally, and you can distribute all the right edges equally, and you can distribute all the horizontal centers equally, like this. Okay, and now these are not the one and only options available in alignment and distribution. You have got many more. To see that, you need to come here to window and you need to choose align, and then click on this and choose show options. So we have finished seeing this align objects and distribute objects. Here you have got something called as distribute spacing. So what is this distribute spacing? So now look at the gap between these objects. So now look at the gap between these objects. These gaps are different. Okay, now I select all these objects, and when I come and click on this distribute spacing, these gaps becomes equal. Okay, similarly now this horizontal spacing between these objects are also unequal. Once I come and click on this, again this horizontal spacing between these objects becomes equal. This is only is called as distribute spacing. And now here you have got option called as align to. So what is that align to? So now here all these align options and distribute options, according to which limits it should get aligned, that is what is controlled in align to. So now initially if it is chosen as align to selection, all these objects will get aligned according to this bounding box. Okay, so the bounding box area is the boundary or limitations, and all the alignment and distribution options will happen within this boundary. Okay, see here it happens only within this bounding box limit. It doesn't goes beyond the bounding box limit. Got it? And now next, when you choose align to artboard, all the objects will get aligned according to the artboard. So now if I choose this left line, see here the object gets all the object gets aligned to the left edge of the artboard, and if I choose this, all the object gets aligned to the top edge of the object artboard, and when I click on this, all the object gets aligned to the bottom edge of the artboard. Okay, and the next one is align to key object. So now I can choose align to key object, and I can choose a particular object, and all the remaining objects will get aligned according to that key object, like this. Choose this, and now I click on this. See here all the objects have got aligned according to the key object that is chosen. Okay, fine. And now this align to option is available for you in the properties or options bar itself. Here itself you can come, click, and you can choose whichever you want. Okay, okay, so this is all what we have got in the selection tool. Okay, thank you students, thank you Designdio followers. So this much will do for today's class.